This is Hovey Smith, the Backyard Sportsman. We're about to deploy back to the swamp. We have installed our new little winch. And yesterday we cut and moved a log that had fallen across our road. So now we can get back to where we need to go. We have had heavy storms. So just in case, since the chainsaw was already gassed and ready, I've got it aboard. So if we have to take out another limb, okay, we got it with us. We're going to install two things today. One is a feeder here, which I recovered, cleaned, repaired, and modified, and I'll tell you about that in a little bit. And I'm going to hang a tree stand back there, and I'll actually hunt a little bit today. There are hunters in the woods, so it's the International Orange, and I'm moving away from the house, so yeah, we're going to be wearing that today. And I'm going to show you about this feeder and also show you some pictures of it as it was originally deployed. The land manager had put it out, and he had filled it with a feed that, well, nothing in the world that I know of liked, because nothing would eat it. And the feed had just sat in this feeder for months and sort of congealed and molded and blah, 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 blah. And the squirrels had chewed up the top, so I repaired the top and emptied the feeder. That feed was so bad it wouldn't even burn hardly. Yeah, I had difficulty in getting it ignite. It would have been good insulation, by the way. And so we're going to go out and get started and see what happens. The manager had put out two of these moultrie feeders, and they're molded plastic. And what you see is the feeder turned upside down. And you'll see that I have cut a series of holes in the feed tray so that water, when it rains, will run through the corn, which is my preferred feed, and out of the bottom, and allow the feed to dry out between animal feedings. And this, I think, will improve the utility of the feeder. Here's a tree I cut out of the road yesterday and pulled out with a winch. And that's one of the two sections I pulled. So now things are clear so far as I know. We'll find out later. Well, I thought this might be rotten. Well, it was more solid than I thought it might be. So consequently, I quit with the axe, went back, fired up the chainsaw, got it all ready, and brought it over here, and have cut the log into two sections. For those of you who only know the magnolia from plantings around southern yards, well, here's what it looked like in the wild. We now have our feeder deployed and a little corn scattered about just sort of to sweeten things. And if we turn about 90 degrees, there's our tree stand overlooking the swamp further beyond. So I can, when I climb the stand, I'll be able to see both down into the swamp as well as up here at the uplands and the feeder itself. So that should work. We are hunting our first day down in the swamp since we relocated. And you can see below me water running. And this is a typical southern swamp. It's a braided channel, little islands between it, a lot of fallen timber. But the place I'm set up actually has a little ridge nose that comes down and is the easiest access of the swamp from one side of the valley to the other. So this is a preferred crossing point, so the setup is good from that point of view. And I have on the other side of me, on the road side, my new feeder set up. And the CBA is there, and also the Ruger Old Army in its usual place. And so I was ready for game. Although, in 3 hours, we did not have any deer. Had squirrels, had wood duck, had pileated woodpecker, had rice birds, but no deer. Our Georgia hunting season has concluded, and we've been using our CBA here and 50 caliber, and we have taken 1 deer with it this year. On the last day of the season, when I set up back in the swamp, as the previous video has shown you, my setup was a success. I did have deer come in, and the deer I had was a spike, and he had spikes about this tall, and a healthy spike deer, but I let him walk. I wasn't going to take him. But I still have work to do. I'm going to go back to that location with a chainsaw and cut out a bunch of stuff, and then with my Ruger Old Army go back in and take hogs. And also, my poor deer stand needs a serious rebuild, so I'll be doing that as well. Also coming up, I bought a reconditioned Wicked Ridge crossbow for less than 400 bucks. Yeah, this is an older model, and that's why it was so cheap, but it was reconditioned by the factory. And so we're going to break it out, and most significantly for me, it comes with a winder. Yeah. So that was what I was looking for, because I can no longer comfortably pull with my arms anymore to cock a conventional crossbow. But that one with a winder I can do very well. So now we're going to see if I can make a heart shot at 50 yards with this gun that's been loaded for 6 weeks or so. And there is my heart-shaped target, so we shall proceed. Well, that is 2 inches from dead center. And at 50 yards, yep, dead deer. We have hunted with the CVA 50 caliber Hunter for an entire Georgia deer season. And how did it do? Well, so far as load was concerned, this was loaded with 85 grains of triple FG black powder, as well as a 295 grain power belt bullet. And the deer we took demonstrated that indeed this bullet did expand. And it is also sufficiently accurate to kill deer out to 100 yards. So the load, now powered by musket cap, generated about as well as it could be done with this length barrel. You need some weight to burn the powder, and you also need a hot ignition source, and we provided both. So yes, the load worked. So far as the gun itself, this comb is very narrow, which is uncomfortable to shoot with this load. The 85 grains is about the maximum I would really put through this gun. And if I were to keep the gun, what I would do would be build up this comb by another 1/4 inch, because I really had to make some strange adjustments so that I could use the sights correctly and get it to shoot horizontally level. Now, the sights, yeah, could really be replaced. And I would recommend that anybody who owns this gun put a better set of iron sights on it. That of a conventional partridge type, as well as change out the front sight here so it is not such a narrow blade. It's easy to lose this blade in poor light. The last deer I saw, which I did not shoot, but actually sighted on, came just as the sun was setting below the tips of the pines. And it was getting dark back in the swamp, and I was having great difficulty in seeing that sight. Fortunately, I didn't shoot it, because when it got closer, I saw indeed it was a small spike, and I know I didn't want to take that deer. And the trigger pull is also a bit on the heavy side. Now, what does that mean? Well, this is the cheapest gun in the CVA line, and you basically get what you pay for. The CVA Hawking style rifle and Hawking weight rifle could be expected to shoot much better than this, and I've owned one for years, and I can attest that indeed it does. I've made offhand shots at running hogs at 85 yards with that rifle using iron sights. Bang! Slap! And it did the job. With this one, I don't think so. It's just too light and too unsteady. Basically, if you were going to use this gun and use it for serious hunting, yeah, increase the width of the comb, change out the sights, and use the load I described, and yeah, at 50 yards and closer, it will certainly anchor any North American deer. I don't have any doubts about that. The gun is reliable, it's easy to maintain, and otherwise, yeah, it'll do for those who really want or need a lightweight gun, because they just can't handle the heavy stuff anymore. The second gun I took, the Ruger Old Army, shown here now with a 45 long Colt cylinder, has a grievance. It says it has deer in front of it and I didn't shoot it. Well, that's true. So we're going to take it out for the rest of the year back in the swamp after we modify our stand and also clean out that place a little bit and see if we can get some hogs with it. And it will kill hogs very well from an elevated stand. But we need to do work both on the stand as well as my hunt site. but that comes a little later and will be shown in later videos. But now, this is Hovey Smith, reminding you to hunt what you eat and eat what you hunt. Be legal, be ethical, be safe, goodbye, God bless, and see you next time.